And we begin with the future of Petrojam. It could be hanging in the balance, according to opposition spokesperson on energy, Philip Paulwell, who detailed a number of upcoming setbacks that could threaten the viability of the entity. CVM Live's Joel Croskill has the report.
Opposition spokesperson for energy and mining, Philip Paulwell, painted a potentially bleak picture of the future of Petrojam during his contribution to the sectoral debate.
I see the closure of Petrojam staring us starkly in the face if something isn't done and done now.
Mr. Paulwell voiced those fears within the context of Petrojam's contribution to the Jamaican economy, which is significant.
Petrojam, as the main operating arm of the government, does contribute significantly to the energy sector, but it is in danger of losing its role. Today, the economy saves about 150 million US due to the operations of Petrojam. If the upgrade and expansion takes place, it will be saving up to $400 billion for the economy. But I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the government is not moving with diligence to ensure that Petrojam is preserved to continue to contribute to the economy.
The opposition spokesman on energy detailed the decline in production that is set to affect the entity over the course of the next few years.
In less than 2 years, Petrojam is going to lose all its market for heavy fuel oil and diesel that it now sells to the Jamaica Public Service Company. Jamaica Public Service Company has 120 megawatts in Bogue. Used to be diesel, it's now LNG. The 190 megawatt plant in Old Harbour is being transformed, is being created to run on LNG. It is taken out of operations. 290 megawatts of capacity is being today run on heavy fuel oil.
In addition, it will lose another 100 megawatts of capacity from the Jamalco plant, which is also converting to LNG, meaning that a total of 400 megawatts of capacity will be lost to Petrojam. Joel Croskill, CVM Live.
And in a story you will only see on CVM Live, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips has expressed concern about the increased number of foreign-operated tourism sites across the island. Speaking at a function at the Hilton Rose Hall recently, he says this trend has many Jamaicans jobless. CVM Live's Nicole Wilson has the story.
Many of the rights that were gained by the trade union movement are now under threat. At least, that's the view of opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips.
It's visible right here in the tourism industry. We are here in one of the leading hotels in St. James area. And what we are seeing today, particularly as more and more of our tourist sector, including parts that were previously Jamaican owned, are being sold to owners overseas.
According to Phillips, changes in ownership of these businesses has caused many Jamaican managers to be displaced by those from overseas.
That's not why we pioneered this tourism sector. And quite frankly, we are going to insist, and we are going to have to insist, that the work permit laws are properly maintained and sustained as they were when Derek Kelly was the minister.
The opposition leader adds that all that is being worked towards will be for naught if these issues are not addressed.
Growth will mean nothing, and prosperity will be just an empty ring if the people of Jamaica can't benefit. And what we're seeing now, not only managers, but musicians and entertainers being recruited from overseas to play reggae in hotels in our own country.
Nicole Wilson, CVM Live.
Illegal campaign banners have been erected on light posts in St. Elizabeth following the latest internal election, which saw the PNP Deputy Secretary Basil Waite winning the delegates' selection exercise. Mayor Derek Sangster is now calling for the signs to be removed. CVM Live's Khadija Thomas has the report.
Complaints have been raised regarding the banners and posters which have long been prohibited by the Jamaica Public Service, who had issued a warning that erecting such will result in unsafe conditions for the general public. Mayor of Black River Derek Sangster says since the Northeast St. Elizabeth elections have ended, the banners can now be removed.
So in terms of any remedial action to remove the boards, I do not think that there is any standing arrangement as such with the Municipal Corporation and the Jamaica Public Service to put advertising boards on their posts.
Mayor Sangster notes that he will be meeting with the Municipal Council in addressing the matter regarding posters on the poles, as it appears that it has become a major issue.
So far, I don't think there's any arrangement in terms of being able to put advertising boards of any sort on the JPS posts.
Meanwhile, JLP caretaker for Northeast St. Elizabeth, Gary Slowly, says the parish council must move with alacrity to have the billboards taken down.
I believe that is also against the law, and we need to really focus on removing those billboards. So I'm reaching out and calling out to the persons whose pictures are on those billboards to assist also in the process of removing them, because there are a lot of complaints that I've heard as as it relates to those billboards that's there.
CVM Live reached out to JPS Director of Corporate Communications, Winsome Callum, who says the company does not encourage anyone to erect posters on their poles. Khadija Thomas for CVM Live.
Thanks, Khadija. At least 50 persons are now left homeless after a fire destroyed several homes in downtown Kingston on Monday afternoon. CVM Live's Nicole Wilson picks up the story.
A near aerial view of the dwelling at 111 King Street in downtown Kingston that became engulfed in flames on Monday afternoon. The shoddy structure that at least 50 persons called home has now become a safety hazard, according to Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams. He says the building will be demolished soon. In the interim, the persons affected are being assisted.
Longer habitable, and the persons cannot sleep there, they cannot occupy. So they are there, and it's their home that they have known for many years. So we have to take steps to try and remedy the situation, to do what we can do to alleviate.
Meanwhile, the mayor also lamented the substandard housing solutions in downtown Kingston, citing they are highly susceptible to fire. He says that this issue has to be resolved, but the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation cannot do it alone.
We have gone and visited and observed and have conducted study that the situation is really, it's not welcoming. It cannot continue. We are not sure how long it can continue. Any spark can cause a disaster in several sections in the downtown area. It requires a discussion with the Ministry of Housing. It requires partnership.
Mayor Williams indicated that already he has reached out to the Housing Ministry.
We have penned a letter to the Ministry of Housing for us to sit and discuss the issue of proper housing solutions for some of our residents in this downtown section of the city that's prone to fire, and we have been having fires over the last year or so.
Nicole Wilson, CVM Live.
Detectives in Manchester are at this hour trying to determine the circumstances surrounding the death of a man last night. This is the house where the victim, 59-year-old Patrick Elliott, lived in an area called Brockery in Cristiano. CVM Live was told other family members also occupy the dwelling. And Denise, a sister who resides elsewhere in Manchester, says she saw him earlier in the month.
About 20 years, my mother put him right here, so. And he go out on the road and come back in, cooking food, and so, and live down in my house.
Detectives are reporting that residents found Elliott's body ablaze near his home and called them. Our camera captured a trail of blood leading to a drum at the scene. Investigators have confirmed that Patrick Elliott, who also goes by the name of Rasta and Forky, had been shot multiple times. And the trial date for Antiguan football coach 49-year-old Derek Edwards and co-accused 48-year-old equipment coordinator Danny Benjamin is now June 14. As Nicole Wilson reports, the trial, which was scheduled to start today, was put off as the judge in the matter recused herself, and the matter was subsequently transferred to another court.
Equipment coordinator Danny Benjamin with Antiguan football coach Derek Edwards following closely behind as they made their way back into the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday morning. The pair is charged with possession of ganja, dealing in ganja, taking steps preparatory to export ganja, and conspiracy. Benjamin and Edwards were arrested at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston on March 26. The police say it was after a search of their luggage that they discovered 3.6 pounds of ganja. The trial, which was set to commence on Tuesday, was transferred to another court after presiding Judge Jacqueline Wilcott recused herself from the matter. The matter was then brought before Judge Broderick Smith, where a new trial date was requested. There was a noticeable change in the body language of both accused who were sitting in the dock when the new date was requested. The trial date was subsequently set for June 14. Judge Smith also heard two applications from the defense. One was for the use of a DVD with footage from the hotel the men were staying as a part of their defense, while the other was for the removal of the curfew from the bail conditions. Both applications were successful. Nicole Wilson.
Treating in relation to one ordained green OC Ray that was picked up among the 12 persons for questioning in relation to criminal activities in the Gregory Park area. The police, SP Gray and a team is on location monitoring the demonstrators and having a talk with them as well.
Opposition Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns has outlined several issues which the People's National Party, the PNP, has with the NIDDS Act. As Joel Croskill tells us, hers is among the voices saying they represent a violation of the constitutional rights of Jamaicans.
Not only is it unfair, but it is wrong because it is affecting your rights as an individual.
That's the charge by Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, that the NIDDS Act contains provisions that the PNP insist infringe on a number of Jamaicans' constitutional rights, some of which were further explored by the senator.
Includes the right to your privacy. It includes the right to determine how you're going to use your body. It includes the right to not be discriminated against or unfair or unequal treatment. It's called equality of treatment before the law.
The suggestion is that the NIDDS Act places undue burden on Jamaican citizens. The senator used a land purchase by a Jamaican and a non-Jamaican as an example.
If a Jamaican under this law wants to, for example, purchase a piece of property or wants to undertake any kind of business, then that Jamaican has to get an NI. Does not apply to a foreigner who just comes to Jamaica to purchase a piece of land on the south or the north coast. They can come, purchase the land, leave.
Senator Fraser-Binns raised the prospect that healthcare services could be denied if persons don't sign up to the personal identification system.
Something as basic, as very, very basic as your health or the access to healthcare could be impacted.
The court is to hear the opposition NIDDS motion on June 8. Joel Croskill, CVM.
The controversy surrounding the National Identification System Bill seems to be far from over, as the PNPYO is calling for a debate, but the JLP's youth arm, Young Jamaica, seems to be skeptical. President of Young Jamaica, Howard Chamberlain, believes that a debate at this stage is of very little value, as the National Registration Act is a matter before the court.
The very action of bringing the NIDDS before the court has basically signaled to the Jamaica Labour Party and to the public that it it is no longer entertaining public debate on this matter, because now it's a legal matter. It's a matter to be ventilated by the court. We're not saying that the conversation will not continue on NIDS. All we're saying, the fact that it is now a subject of a legal proceedings, I mean, it is the responsible thing to do to allow the courts to ventilate the issue.
However, PNP-YO's President Crystal Tomlinson says the matter is of national interest and demands immediate clarification.
A matter being before the court doesn't prevent an individual from commenting on it. Otherwise, no news station would carry the news, no talk show host would speak on it, no letters to the editor would be written.
For her part, all she's seeking is a space where the nature and impact of the bill can be discussed in a critically sound fashion. Chamberlain, however, believes the newly elected PNP-YO president, in his words, is just a novice seeking attention.
I think they're novice president because that's what she is. She's a political novice. She's sort of trying to seek some sort of relevance for herself and relevance for her organization at this time.
We did a Twitter poll online just today. We closed it off at 4 o'clock, and it showed that 54% of the respondents, over 3,000 people responded. 54% of them understood or felt that they understood what NIDS was and how it would be implemented. But there was another 46% who felt like they were in the dark on it. And if it's a bill that affects 100% of Jamaicans, you can't comfortably feel that 46% not understanding it is okay.
In the interim, Chamberlain says his group remains open to suggestion on how to improve the complete framework of NIDS. I'm Von Thorpe reporting for CVM Live.
CVM Live.
Well, Nicole will come back, but this time for regional and international news.
We begin with news in Barbados. Barbados will be sticking with the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. The assurance has come from Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who says the CCJ represents one of the best examples of independence in a court across the entire globe. She made her government's position clear following a threat by former Prime Minister Ferdinand Stewart. Before the elections, Stewart said that if his Democratic Labour Party DLP won, then Barbados would no longer make the CCJ its final appellate court. In the Dominican Republic, the country's second city is bracing for the hurricane season with a new evacuation plan. The new strategy comes after storms killed at least 90 people in the city last year. Santiago de los Caballeros is still struggling with the economic tolls from Hurricanes Maria and Irma.